My father kicked me out of the house at 15 because of a false accusation from my stepmother. Years later, they showed up at my door asking me to give my house to her daughter. I didn't say a word. I just showed them a DNA test and revealed my stepmother's secret. That same week, my father lost everything and ended up in jail. My name is Lucas, and this is a story of how my life fell apart at 15. It all started when my mother died, giving birth to me. My father, Raphael, never talked about her, but I always felt a weight, as if he blamed me for her death. I was 5 when he married Evely, a woman who seemed kind at first, but soon showed her manipulative side. Evely came with Olivia, her 2-year-old daughter, whom she called my little sister. I didn't think much of it. Olivia was a cheerful girl, always running around the house. But soon I noticed Evely put her on a pedestal while treating me like a problem. By the time I was 12, Olivia was part of the family, or so Evely said. Raphael adored her, and Evely knew how to manipulate him. If Olivia did something wrong, like breaking a plate, it was a cute accident. If I did the same, it was proof I was worthless. Evely always found ways to make me look bad, saying things like, "Lucas, you should learn from Olivia. She knows how to behave." Raphael believed her, and I swallowed my anger. Over time, I noticed strange things. Evely whispered on the phone, making sure Raphael wasn't around. Sometimes she'd go out at night, claiming to visit a friend. Once at 13, I followed her to a park and saw her with a guy, Greg, supposedly a family friend. But the way they looked at each other wasn't normal. Something was off, and it put me on edge. I wanted to tell Raphael, but I had no proof. Evely was always one step ahead. If I mentioned anything, she'd cut me off with a smile and say, "Lucas, don't make up stories." Raphael believed her completely. I started piecing things together. A letter I saw in her purse, messages on her phone when she left it unattended. Everything pointed to Evely cheating on Raphael with Greg. I even began to suspect Olivia wasn't my father's daughter. I couldn't prove it, but the idea haunted me. Things spiraled out of control one summer night, just after I turned 15. I'd had a long day at school and fell asleep on the couch. I woke to Evely's screams. I ran to the kitchen and saw her crying, pointing at me. "Lucas tried to hurt me last night," she shouted while Raphael held her. I was confused. I said it was a lie, that I'd been asleep, but Evely insisted I'd snuck into her room and touched her. Her tears seemed so real, I doubted myself for a second. Raphael looked at me with fury and disgust. "Lucas, how could you?" he said, his voice trembling. I tried to explain, but he wouldn't listen. No excuses. "You can't stay here after this." There was no reasoning with him. Evely had him in the palm of her hand, and he believed her without question. That night, with a backpack full of clothes and a few books, I left the house. I had nowhere to go. My friends lived far away, and I had no close family. I ended up sleeping in a park, using my backpack as a pillow. The cold and fear kept me awake, wondering how my life had crumbled in hours. The next day, I called my girlfriend, Sarah. We'd been dating a few months, and though we were young, she was the only person I trusted. I told her everything, and she didn't hesitate to help. She talked to her parents, Mark and Linda, who let me stay at their house. I don't know how to thank them. They treated me like a son, but made it clear I had to contribute. I got a job at a cafe, cleaning tables and serving coffee. It wasn't much, but it helped me pay my way and not feel like a burden. Sarah and her parents supported me, and though the pain of Raphael's actions lingered, I decided I wouldn't let Evely slide to find me. The next few years were crazy. I finished high school with good grades, thanks to Sarah and her family. Then I went to college, studying business administration, while working whatever jobs I could. I landed a position at a small tech company and worked my butt off. My efforts paid off, and at 28, I became the CEO of that company, now a big name in the market. Sarah and I got married and bought a house that represented everything I'd achieved. Despite it all, I never forgot what Evely did. I kept a notebook with notes about her and Greg, the times I saw them together, things she said when she thought no one was listening. I also had a copy of that letter from Greg I found in her purse. I didn't know when I'd use it, but something told me it would be important. One afternoon, while Sarah and I relaxed at home, someone knocked on the door. I opened it to find Raphael, Evely, and Olivia, now a 20-year-old woman. I hadn't seen them in over 10 years, and the anger from that night hit me like a punch. Raphael spoke first. "Lucas, we need to talk," he said, sounding more desperate than serious. Evely stood beside him with that fake smile I'd never forget, and Olivia looked at the floor. Raphael continued. "After everything that happened, the least you can do is help your sister. Olivia deserves a better life. And this house, well, you should give it to her. It's only fair after what you did, after causing your mother's death." I was stunned. They were really asking for my house, and bringing up my mother as if I were to blame. Fury burned inside me, but I said nothing. I just looked at them, pulled Greg's letter from a drawer, and placed it on the table. "Before you go on, Raphael, there's something you need to know," I said, my voice calm but firm. I told him everything. Evely's outings, her meetings with Greg, the letter proving her affair. Then I dropped the bomb. "Olivia isn't your daughter. Get a DNA test and you'll see." Raphael went silent, staring at the letter. Evely paled, trying to deny it, saying it was lies, but her voice shook. Olivia just looked confused. Raphael said he'd check, that he'd do the test, and they left. I knew everything was about to change. I closed the door and stood in the hallway, my heart racing. Sarah came out of the kitchen, where she'd been listening. "Are you okay?" she asked, touching my arm. I wasn't, but I nodded. I'd held that anger for years, and letting it out in front of Raphael, and Evely felt like breaking a chain. But I knew this wasn't over. The next few days were hell. I had no news from Raphael, but I couldn't stop wondering what was going through his mind. Would he believe Evely? Would he do the test? My job as CEO kept me busy with endless meetings and decisions, but every night I looked at that notebook, my proof I wasn't crazy, that what I saw and suspected was real. A week later, everything turned. I was at home, checking emails, when someone knocked. I thought it was a delivery, but it was Evely. She was alone, her hair a mess, eyes red like she'd been crying. "Lucas, I need your help," she said, her voice trembling. "Raphael's out of control. Since you told him about the test, he won't stop yelling, breaking things. I'm scared he'll do something bad. Please help me." I stared at her, unmoving. Part of me wanted to believe her, but the other remembered the night she got me kicked out, her lie that left me on the street. "Now you ask for help?" I said, my voice cold. "You did this, Evely. You lied, cheated on Raphael, got me thrown out, and now you want to save you." She tried to speak, but I raised my hand. "No, I'm not helping. Fix your mess." I shut the door in her face, ignoring her pleas. Sarah, who'd heard everything, said nothing, but her eyes showed she approved. I didn't feel good ignoring her, but I wasn't falling for her game. Evely was a manipulator, and this could be another trick. I told myself it wasn't my problem, that she brought on herself, but deep down, I felt things were about to get ugly. A few days later, I got a text from Raphael. "I did the test. I need to see you." His tone was dry, like he was holding something back. I told him to come to my house that night, alone. I didn't want Evely around after what happened. Sarah warned me to stay calm. "Don't let him drag you to his level," she said. She was right, but the anger still burned. Raphael arrived alone, a shadow of the man I remembered. He was gaunt, with deep bags under his eyes and wrinkled clothes. He sat on the couch, staring at the floor. "I did the test," he said finally. "Olivia isn't my daughter." His voice broke, and for a second I felt sorry for him. But then I remembered the night he kicked me out, how he believed Evely without giving me a chance. "Evely admitted everything," he continued. "She had an affair with Greg before Olivia was born. She lied to me all these years. What are you going to do now?" I asked, arms crossed. Raphael sighed, running a hand over his face. "I don't know. Everything I thought I had with her is a lie. But Olivia, she's not to blame. I don't know how to handle this." For the first time, I saw something human in him, something I hadn't seen since I was a kid. But I also knew Evely wouldn't stay quiet. She was an expert at twisting things. Be careful with her, I said. She won't let this end easily. Raphael nodded but looked lost. He left soon after, saying he needed time to think. The next few days were tense. I tried to move on, but I couldn't shake Evely's visit. What if she was really in danger? I told myself it wasn't my responsibility, that she'd brought on herself. Then came another call, this time from Olivia. Her voice trembled like she'd been crying. Lucas, I need to see you. It's about Mom and Raphael. I agreed to meet her at a cafe near my office, though I wasn't sure I wanted to get deeper into this mess. Olivia was alone, a backpack on her shoulder, eyes red. She looked so different from the cheerful little girl I remembered. Raphael told me everything, she said, fidgeting with a napkin. The test, Greg. Mom won't stop yelling at him, saying it's all your fault, that you made up the letter to ruin her. It didn't surprise me. Evie always found a way to blame someone else. I didn't make anything up, I said, staying calm. I found that letter years ago, and what I said about Greg is true. I saw them together more than once. Olivia nodded slowly, like she was confirming something she'd suspected. I know, she said. When I was little, I saw Mom with a man who wasn't Raphael. I didn't understand, but I never forgot his face. I think it was Greg. That hit me. Olivia had seen something, even if she didn't understand it then. I asked if Raphael knew, and she shook her head. I didn't tell anyone. Mom always said not to talk about things I didn't understand. Her eyes filled with tears. I don't know what to do, Lucas. Raphael's furious, Mom's desperate, and I'm stuck in the middle. I wanted to hate her because she was part of the life Evely built at my expense. But looking at her, I saw a lost girl trapped in her mother's mess. It's not your fault, I said, and I meant it. You didn't ask for this. Olivia looked surprised, like she didn't expect kindness. Then she asked, why don't you hate me after what Mom did to you? I didn't know how to answer at first. Because you're not Evely, I said finally. I won't blame you for her mistakes. We parted soon after, but I knew this wasn't over. That night, I told Sarah everything. You're doing the right thing not blaming Olivia, she said. But be careful with Raphael. He's hurt, and hurt people can do stupid things. She was right, but I couldn't imagine what was coming. A few days later, I got a call from Tom, a neighbor of Raphael and Evely. Lucas, something bad happened, he said, voice shaking. Raphael and Evely had a huge fight. The police are here. You should come. My stomach sank. I told Sarah to come with me, and we went straight to the house where I grew up. When we arrived, it was chaos. Police cars outside, lights flashing, neighbors watching. Tom met us at the entrance. I heard yelling, things breaking, he said. Then I saw Raphael come out in handcuffs. Evely was hurt. The ambulance took her. My mind raced. What had happened? I went inside with Sarah behind me. Everything was wrecked. Furniture overturned, glass shattered. I found Olivia in the kitchen, sitting on the floor, hugging her knees. Lucas, she said, voice breaking. Raphael lost it. When the test results came, he started yelling at Mom. She said horrible things, that she never loved him, that she was only with him for the money. And then he hit her. He wouldn't stop. I froze. I knew Raphael was hurt, but I never imagined he'd go this far. Where is he now? I asked. Olivia pointed outside. The police took him. Mom's in the hospital. I don't know if she'll be okay. Sarah went to Olivia and hugged her while I tried to process it all. Part of me wanted to blame Raphael, but another remembered Evely's visit, her plea. Could I have stopped this? I told myself no, that she brought on herself. But the weight lingered. I went to the hospital with Olivia. I didn't know what to expect, but I needed to know. A doctor met us, his face serious. Evely's in critical condition, he said. She has severe injuries, and we're doing what we can. Olivia broke down, and I stood there, not knowing what to feel. I hated Evely, but I didn't want this. That night, Sarah and I talked late. This is a mess, I said, feeling the weight. Raphael ruined his life. Evely might not make it, and Olivia's in the middle. Sarah took my hand. You didn't cause this, Lucas. You told the truth. What happens now isn't your responsibility. But I couldn't shake the image of Evely begging for help. I'd chosen to ignore her, and now everything was in ruins. The next few days were a blur. I stayed in touch with Olivia, making sure she had a place to stay. She went to Evely's aunt, but told me she didn't want to lose contact. "You're the closest thing to family I have left," she said, and those words hit hard. The news came a week later. I was in the office, reviewing reports, when my phone rang. It was the hospital. Evely didn't make it. The injuries Raphael caused were too severe, and after days in intensive care, her body gave out. I hung up and stared at the wall, not knowing what to feel. I hated Evely for what she did, for the lie that wrecked my life at 15, but I didn't want her dead. Part of me kept thinking about her plea, how I ignored her. Could I have changed something? Sarah told me no, that Evely brought on herself, but the weight stayed like a stone in my chest. I called Olivia to break the news. She was with her aunt, and when I told her, there was just silence, then a soft sob. "I don't know what to do now," she said finally. "Mom wasn't perfect, but she was my mom. And Raphael, he wasn't my dad, but he was all I had." Her voice broke, and I felt a lump in my throat. I told her she wasn't alone, that she could count on me. I didn't know why I said it, but I meant it. That night, Sarah and I talked. "Olivia is not to blame," Sarah said while we made dinner. "She's a victim of Evely's choices, just like you." I nodded, but I wasn't sure what that meant for me. What should I do with Olivia? She wasn't my sister, not by blood, but I couldn't turn my back on her. She'd been through enough, and I knew what it was like to feel alone in the world. A few days later, I met Olivia at the same cafe. She was calmer, though her eyes were still red. She told me Evely's aunt couldn't keep her long, that she had her own problems. "I don't want to be a burden to anyone," she said, staring at her coffee. "But I don't know where to go." Something in her voice reminded me of myself at 15, sleeping in a park, unsure of what came next. I couldn't let her go through that. "Come home," I said, almost without thinking. Olivia looked surprised. "You don't have to do this, Lucas. After everything, you don't owe me anything." But I didn't see it that way. "It's not about owing you," I said. "It's because I don't want you to be alone. Sarah and I have space, and we can help you get on your feet." Olivia didn't say anything for a moment, just nodded, tears in her eyes. That's how she ended up moving in with us. It wasn't easy at first. Olivia was quiet, like she feared bothering us. Sarah was amazing, treating her like a younger sister, helping her settle into the guest room. I, on the other hand, didn't know how to act. Part of me still saw Olivia as Evely's daughter, the woman who ruined my life. But over time, I got to know her. She was smart, hardworking, and had a strength I didn't expect. She'd studied graphic design in college, but dropped out due to money issues. I offered to help her finish, and though she resisted at first, she accepted. Meanwhile, Raphael faced the consequences. I visited him in jail, not because I wanted to, but because I needed closure. He was in a visiting room, behind glass, in a gray uniform that made him look smaller. "Lucas," he said, voice low, "I don't know how he got here." He tried to apologize, not just for what he did to Evely, but for what he did to me. "I believed her," he said. "I failed you as a father." I said nothing. The apology came too late, and though part of me understood his pain, the other was still hurt. I told him I hoped he'd find peace, but that I couldn't erase the past. It was the last time I saw him. Raphael was convicted of manslaughter. The prosecution deemed there was no intent to kill, but the charges were serious. He got 7 years, with a chance for early release for good behavior. I felt no satisfaction or relief, just emptiness. The man who was once my father was broken, and there was no fixing it. With Olivia at home, life took a new shape. She wasn't my sister by blood, but she became something like it. Sarah and she got along well, and slowly, Olivia opened up one night at dinner. She told me how Evely manipulated her, making her believe Raphael was a real father, though things never added up. "I found a photo of Greg in her drawer once," she said. "I asked who he was, and she got furious, told me never to mention him. I realized Olivia had lived under the weight of Evelyn's lies too. I decided to help her find Greg, not for a relationship, but because she deserved the truth. With some contacts and research, we found him, a regular guy, owning a hardware store in a nearby town. Olivia went to see him and came back saying she wanted nothing to do with him. "He's not my family," she said. "You and Sarah are." Those words hit hard, and for the first time, I felt I was doing something right. Months passed, and Olivia rebuilt her life. She finished her graphic design degree with our help and got a job at a creative agency. Seeing her thrive gave me a peace I didn't expect. It didn't erase the past, but it felt like something good could come from so much pain. Sarah and I moved forward too, focused on our life together, now with Olivia as part of our makeshift family. One day, while cleaning the garage, I found that notebook where I'd written everything about Evelyn. I flipped through it, remembering the anger and fear of those years, but I didn't feel the same. What happened with Evelyn and Raphael was a tragedy, but also a lesson. I burned the notebook in the backyard, watching the flames consume the pages. Sarah watched from the window and smiled, knowing what it meant. Olivia stayed with us another year until she could move to her own apartment. We still saw her often, for dinners or weekends. We didn't talk much about Raphael or Evelyn after that. There was no need. We closed that door, and though the scars remained, they didn't define us. Looking back, I don't know if I did everything right. Ignoring Evelyn when she asked for help still weighs on me sometimes. But I also know the truth had to come out, no matter the cost. Raphael paid for his mistakes, Evelyn for hers, and Olivia and I found a way to move forward. It wasn't the ending I imagined as a teen sleeping in a park, but it was the ending I needed,